So, Dallas, I'm curious from your perspective, when you start meeting Jake the Snake and some of these other guys coming into the bar, when do you start watching wrestling again and getting the itch of, hey, what if?
Right. So as soon as I saw Jake, as soon as I saw him, it pulled me back in. I felt like that. I tried to get out, but they sucked me back in again. And it was the '80s, and wrestling was huge at the time.
Super hot.
Red hot. These guys were doing. How many days did you do straight, Jake?
I did Ricky Steamboat 93 days straight.
90, and that's 2 days.
Twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. It was crazy. You do LA at 2:00, San Diego at 7, or you do Omaha at 2:00 and Des Moines, Iowa at 7. It was rough, man. And I remember having to have my wife come on the road because I was so beat up and dinged out that I could barely talk. And back then they used to give us a stack of tickets at TV, this thick. You had paper tickets. And I'd just go to the airline and I'd just stick them up on the desk and I'd find one. I can't do it because my mind just wasn't thinking, man. She went on the road with me for about 2 weeks because I just gotten to the point that I couldn't even talk. But it's crazy because even that bad, when that bell rings, you're back on.
And watching that, Conrad, and seeing, I was a fan. To go back to that story that night when I said, rock and wrestling, I should have been a part of that. My buddy Smokey comes, where all the bartenders are, we're all drinking. He's like, Page J, because my dad works with me occasionally. He went by Page 1. I've never liked Page 2. So Dallas was a nickname to me as a little kid. And so he's like, Page J, what do you mean rock and wrestling? You should have been a part of that. I never told anybody about it. And I said, well, I tried it when I was a kid. And he was like, you were a wrestler? What was your name? And I said, Handsome Dallas Page. And he went, whew, you can forget about using that gimmick anymore. And everybody laughed. And then I just started thinking that night, and, I'm too old to be a wrestler. I'll be a manager. And literally, I'm just spitballing. I'm getting drunk, and I come up with Diamond Dallas Page. I go, Jimmy Hart's got the Hart Foundation. I could have the Diamond Exchange. Woo, shot, drink. Now the shots are out, and all of us are on a roll, because that's when the bar business is over. That's when we really start drinking. So me and Jake, we were like probably very close to each other. If I'd have gotten into business when I was 20,
we'd both be dead.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't be here right now, because back then I would go, and I would go to whatever far you were going to go to, and going with him would be a mistake. Trying to go head to head, partying. And at some point I say to my crew, I'm like, there's not a lot of really good looking women in wrestling. Now, Miss Elizabeth, she's beautiful, but she's like girl next door beautiful. I said, what if I had a whole stable of ladies? I called them Diamond Dolls, and they were stripper hot. And Smokey goes, oh, that'll be a stretch. Woo, shot, drink. And so it's the end of the night, at 4 a.m. The last of us are getting up, and I go, Diamond Dallas Page, my wrestlers at the Diamond Exchange. I've got the Diamond Dolls. That is BADD bad. And I just, did I steal that from somebody? And I wrote it down. All these things I wrote down. So it was kind of like, I always tell people, excuse me, just don't think it, ink it. And about a week or so later, there was a place called the Party News Network, a little cable show down in Southwest Florida. And they wanted to do a story on The Voice. And that's, from Thursday, the synthesizer voices to, oh yeah, like the boys coming on, and, but it was me. They wanted to know, like, where does the voice come from? So they filmed me in my 62 pink Cadillac. They filmed me at the studio. I'm wearing a WrestleMania t-shirt. I'm a fan, and at some point in the interview, they say, so where does the voice come from? And I'm sitting in that desk, and in front of me, it says everything. And if there's not a pair of white sunglasses sitting there, Conrad, I don't know if we're here, but they were. and I grabbed them and I put them on.
I was born to be a professional wrestling manager. That's right. Diamond Dallas Page is where the voice comes from. It's deep, it's hard, it's mean, it's ready to go. It's Norma Jean's Cafe's voice.
And that was the end of it. In fact, just talking to him. And at some point, about a week later, someone had seen it, a guy named Smitty. And he wants me to come on and do his radio show. And I'm like, dude, I don't really do it. It was just me, playing around. He's like, it doesn't matter. It's radio. And besides, I'm going to have Captain Lou Albano on. And girls just want to have fun as Captain Lou Albano. Right. So I'm like, Captain Lou Albano's going to be on the show. Do I get to talk to him? He's like, yeah, I want you to be my expert. So I'm like, I'm in. And the show went good. And then we did it again with Sergeant Slaughter. And that's when Smitty says to me, you got to do something with this Diamond Dallas Page guy. And I'm like, dude, it's just in my head. It's just an idea. He said, I got a buddy of mine used to be a promoter in boxing. Now he's promoting in the AWA. You should send him a tape. I'm like, a tape of what? He's like, you'll figure it out. And I put together 3 wrestlers, Big Bad John, Rock Hard Rick, and Ted E. Bear. He was a midget. And of course, he came out with the Diamond Dolls.
This man is loved by women all over the world. They love to cuddle him. He is the Ted E. Bear. If you wouldn't mind take off that jacket there, Teddy Bear. Show the fans what you got. Show them what you got here.
Oh, my God.
He is an unbelievable specimen, an unbelievable man here.
And I sent that videotape to the AWA, and 2 weeks later, they called me. And never would have happened except for Paul E. Dangerously, AKA Paul Heyman, left the AWA, went to the NWA, left a huge void for a young guy that could talk. So this guy, Rob Russin, calls me up and he says, I'm looking for Diamond Dallas Page. I'm like, no one's ever asked for him before. Yeah, you're talking to him. Can I help you? And he's like, we want to bring you in for a tryout. We want to bring you and your boys into Vegas. We like your shtick, but we got one question. No one's ever heard of you guys. Where are you working? And I was like, well, Rob, truth is,
unknown.
Right, parts unknown. None of those guys can wrestle. And he's like, what did you even call us for then? I was like, well, it's kind of like a secret society, like figuring out no one knows how to get into wrestling. And he's like, well, don't call us, we'll call you. And because Paul Heyman left 2 weeks later, they needed a young guy that could talk, and they brought me in. So it was kind of like the planets aligned it up for me, but having the creativity and the belief that it could happen, like it could happen. And that's how I got in as a manager. And, there wasn't over that period of time. I don't remember running into you, Jake.
No.
Again, we didn't see each other again until
power plant,
until I was actually in the ring.
Yeah.
And the only reason I was in the ring was because Magnum TA comes up to me and he tells me, I'm managing the Freebirds then. I'm managing Scott Hall, who was the Diamond Stud. Before there was Razor Ramon, there was a Diamond Stud. And
sure was.
TA came up to me and he's like, listen, D, can't let you manage anymore. We're still going to let you do color with Eric Bischoff. Like, we're 4th string color commentator and play-by-play guy. He's like, we can't let you manage anymore because I'm like, why? What did I do wrong, man? I'll fix it. He's like, yeah, you really can't. The clothes, the hair, the bling, the rap. You're just taking too much attention away from the boys. And Scott Hall had warned me about it. And I didn't understand it. I understood it right then. And I said to him, I was like, Magnum, are you telling me I'm too over the top for professional wrestling? And
Still is.
And he started laughing. And he said, hey, what we should have done was put you in a pair of tights and boots and see if you could do this. And right there, I had 7 months left of my contract, man. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And that's where Jake and I come back into each other's life. And we spent, for 3 months, I was out with him. Every day that he was there, I was out with him, me and Kevin both. And then all of a sudden he disappeared because of the conflict with Watts. And then I tore my rotator cuff.
Yep. There you go.
And you called me up and
Well, you came over to see me
Right.
because I unfortunately split up with my wife again. And he came over to the hotel. And he says, "Dude, man, what are you doing staying here?" I said, "Man, I gotta live somewhere, and hard times right now." And he's like, "Well, why don't you come over to my place and stay with me?" I'm like, "Dude, I can't do that." And he's like, "No. You help me, I'll help you."
Yeah, I was like, I got my arm in a sling because I had torn my rotator cuff, but it was towards the end of it.
Yeah.
And then I was starting my rehab, and I was like, man, I cannot wait to get in the ring with you to learn from you. And he's like, listen, you know how to do the moves. You know what to do out there. You just don't know when to do it, why to do it. And you're going to learn more sitting on the couch watching the film, because I film my matches every night. Like no one ever did that back then.
No.
And he said, we're going to learn more sitting here watching your match, me critiquing it. And that Jake did, he watched some brutal matches.
I used to drive him crazy by asking him why you did that. Why did you do that right there? Well, it just seemed like, no. What should you have done? I wouldn't tell him what to do. I'd make him figure it out.
Yeah, that was the interesting part.
Yeah, that's the key to learning, man, is figuring it out yourself. I mean, if I put a math problem down and I walk you through it, it's done. I did it. You figure it out. But it takes time, and it's all about attitude, man. It's all about projecting yourself, and you don't look at the camera, you look through the camera. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but that's what you do. Same thing if you're in an arena. You don't look out at one person in the crowd, because if you do that, you're ignoring the other thousands. You've got to be able to pan the audience and make them think they're the ones I'm talking to. And if you can connect like that, you got it by the short hairs, and then you can walk where you want to and they'll follow.
And Jake got me booked like what was really,
oh my God,
like Jake goes, I don't have a job. I'm an independent wrestler right now with, a fraction of a name. I wrestled for maybe, 7 months before I tore my rotator cuff. So it wasn't like I was in any kind of demand. And they don't pay no money. But Jake would get me booked on different gigs. And I remember one time he put me over so strong. Like he said, he put me over so strong. And after he hung up, I was like, Jake, I go, you can't put me over like that. I go, I can't deliver that. And he basically told me, listen, you know what to do out there. That's just going to come through reps. And you literally have the ability. This thing you have. He said, you have the ability to be one of the top guys in our business. You got to start believing that, though. Because that's one of the first people that ever said that to me when it came. Now it's Jake Snake Roberts. Like, he's not lying to me. He's going to tell me where I suck. Like, he's going to shoot on me.
And I did.
No, you did a lot.
I know, a lot.
but that initial belief
Yeah.
And that's where it's so crazy, because what would happen 20 years later, with me switching it around to him.
Yeah.
And about the belief, and and I had this when we walk him into the Hall of Fame. I had this exactly what I wanted to say, and I thought it was one of the best inductions I ever could have done for him. But something I ad-libbed was, never underestimate the power you give someone by believing in them. Even more important, never underestimate the power you give yourself by believing in you. And
so true.
It's something he gave me. Dusty would give it to me again later at a different level, different kind of over different things, not working the ring. But he made me start to believe that I really could be that, at least a mid-card guy. Because I didn't have any, dreams of world championship or any of that stuff then.
Yeah, Dusty gave that to you.
Yeah, he gave me that spot. But
it sure was some fun, man. It made me feel so good that him and Nash wanted to ride and just wanted to pick my brain. And that's still something I still like doing. I'm at AEW now. These young kids down there, I love them to death, even though it is Circus Soleil in a ring. but it's different, but it's still the same. The things that I can teach you, you can still use today. And but when him and Nash, would let me ride with them, or they want to ride with me, it made me feel really, really good. Made me feel
valued.
needed.
Yeah.
And don't we all want to feel needed, man?
Absolutely.